What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Dude Ranch DIY. My name is Jake. Today, the whole East Coast, southwestern Connecticut in particular, where we are, is getting hit with a pretty major nor'easter. Now, it's not your typical nor'easter with snow. It's like 55 degrees out, but we're getting a lot of rain, coastal flooding, high winds, you name it. Today's Columbus Day. I actually have the day off. I'm home with my wife and the baby. And I was just looking for something to do, and I've had this fuel tank laying around for a while now. I picked it up a couple months ago from my buddy. He's actually a viewer of the channel, so thank you very much, Joe, for the tank. He used to use it for diesel for his equipment and trucks and stuff. He thought that I might be able to upgrade from my small 40-gallon diesel transfer tank to a bigger one to fuel all my equipment, and he was absolutely right. It's been something I've been looking into for a while, and just by happenstance, at around the same time, and it always seems to happen this way, this company called Briero reached out asking me if I had any need for fuel, hoses, pumps, tanks, reels, anything of the sort. And it was literally the exact same week that my buddy Joe reached out to me offering me this tank. So I, of course, checked out Briero's website, lots of different products for anything fuel related. And I picked out this really nice 50-foot diesel hose reel, which is fully retractable. And in this box, as you can see, they also sent me a pump, an additional, just standalone hose that would not go onto a reel, the like the nozzle, like the fill thing, like at a regular gas station, and then down in that box is the actual pump. They got all the, wiring and stuff here for it. So today I wanted to, since it's pretty nasty outside, I wanted to tackle this project and see if we could at least get a head start on it. Because before fuel prices go up for the winter, I would like to get this puppy filled up. As you can see here, it's in really good shape. It's a newer tank. It's a 275 gallon made out of 12 gauge steel there. When we look inside of it, there is a little bit of fuel residue down on the bottom of the tank, but the tank for the most part is pretty clean. So I'm gonna try to get the last of this fuel drained out of it, and then I can show you my plan for how I plan to mount this reel and the pump and everything. I don't really know exactly how much is in here, but all right, so I went ahead and found this piece of 1/8 inch steel plate, and it's actually just the right length to fit the 9.5 inches that the hose reel is long. So I'll really just have to cut it so that the width fits in between these two welds right here. All right, to cut this piece, I'm gonna be using the Arc Captain Cut 55 Pro. I'll drop a link in this thing down in the description. They sent this to me. To be brutally honest, I did a video with it a while ago. I've used it a handful of times since. It works really well for my needs. Is it a professional plasma cutter? Absolutely not. But will it get the job done for the couple cuts a year I need to make? Absolutely. This being one of them, so we're gonna cut it. Definitely not the cleanest cut in the world because I don't use it all that often, but I guess it beats a grinder. Okay, so here is the reel mocked up on the plate. You can see I marked out the corners on all 4 corners. Measured it out, made it nice and even. So now I can take this off, weld the plate to the tank, and then we can weld the reel to the plate.
All right, guys, so before I start, I just want to show everybody, I got the doors open. I got a fan blowing over here. You know, as you can tell, I am working out of my basement here, which is, you know, not really a full-fledged shop. I would love to have a shop someday, but for now, we're working with what we got. So this is the best I can do as far as ventilation.
All right, so those welds, you know, aren't perfect, but for what we're doing, should be plenty. All right, we got everything taped off here. I'm just gonna paint everything from here below gray. There. All right, so I went ahead and got this stopper, this hose stopper on there. I swapped out the red for the green to simplify diesel. And now I'm gonna pull off this painter's tape now that this stuff is dried. All right, perfect. That looks good. Ah, darn it. Got a little bit of overspray up here. Oh well. Okay, so here's all the stuff that I need for the pump. Now keep in mind, if you do order the pump, it comes with its own, you know, fuel hose and gun. It's a shorter hose. I think it's maybe like 10 or 12 feet long. But here's the pump. It comes with several fittings. This small, I'm guessing this is a ground, and then this is like your power supply cord and your pipe, and I believe this is telescopic. Or yeah, it adjusts for different lengths of the tanks. Guys, this pump comes with this plastic cap in here that this is supposed to screw into. But as you can see, this started out as a huge Phillips to the point where I was using, you know, this small pry bar actually as like a slot in the Phillips to try to twist it out. And I cannot, for the life of me, get this thing out. I've been trying with a plastic mallet to bang it and try to twist it. All right, I'm finally getting it with some channel locks. It was really hard to get started because there wasn't a lot to grip on. But now it's coming out. There we go. All right, so we got that all tightened up. I got the Teflon tape on here. So now we can drop this down into the tank. All right, so here we got the pump all installed. Now, it does not come with the pipes and stuff necessary to pipe from this to this fuel reel. If you were just buying this to use the hose that came with it,
you would be all set and you would be able to pump fuel as long as you had a power source. But since I need to take some measurements, I'm gonna have to go and get some pipe and fittings and stuff to be able to connect this pump to this fuel reel. All right, guys, so I just figured out all the different parts I need to hook up this fuel pump basically to this fuel hose reel by way of, I believe I ended up ordering a 30 micron filter. 30 micron was the smallest I could find while still being like 25 gallons per minute so that it wouldn't, you know, restrict the flow of fuel going from this 20 gallon per minute pump. So now that I have all that stuff ordered, it should be here tomorrow. I've been working on the electrical. I just wanted to show you what it looks like before, you know, I button it all up. Okay, so this is what it needs to look like. You need to pull the wires through, put your connectors on, then you're gonna have your rubber grommet, and then you're gonna have this little like cap that basically threads into this junction box to seal the rubber grommet in place. And before you do all that, you just want to make sure you pull your ground wire out and through. I don't know if you could see, but that third hole that's right there for it. So I'm going to heat shrink these down and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. All right, so there's the solder connection. It's still really warm, so I don't want to bend it too much. I want to let it get a little more rigid, but that's what it's got to look like. And then we can basically shove all this in back into this junction box and tighten down this socket to tighten that gasket plug. All right, so we got the power cord coming out here. I got my ground to the reel right here, this little bolt. So we just gotta tighten this up. All right, so we are back the next day. You gotta love Amazon. All of the parts that I needed to finish up this project, at least I think, should be in this box. Last night I went ahead and attached this 90-degree elbow as well as this 1-inch to 1-inch male-to-male coupler. So here is our 3/4 inch barbed fitting, which we need for right here. I believe this is our filter housing. As you can see, this will thread right on to here, like so. And I believe this should be my swivel. Yes, swivel that goes on the end right here. So this is like your typical gas station style swivel. So I kind of want to get this hose plumbed up. So in order to do that, we need this section of hose. We got our arrow pointing to the right, so the flow would go this way. All right, I think that's pretty tight there. Now we could take our hose, which is essentially this hose is gonna act as a connector from the filter to the reel itself. And one end has a 1-inch NPT fitting crimped on. And the other end conveniently has a 3/4 inch, but we're actually gonna have to cut off one side of this and we're going to be utilizing this barbed fitting. So before I get too far ahead of myself, I wanna make sure that this barbed fitting threads on here, which it does. And then this will go like this, and the other end will go to the reel. Smoky. Okay. So now, in theory, everything is pretty much hooked up. The last thing I have to do is just put on this swivel. Well, all right, guys. I think we are just about at the point of kind of testing this Briero fuel transfer pump and the 50-foot fuel hose reel. I have actually scheduled for a company to come out and fill this tank in 2 days. It's now Tuesday. They're going to be coming on Thursday, so I have to have it outside and ready for them on Thursday. But before we fully fill it up and start running fuel through it, I would like to try to get the last little bit of sludge out of the bottom of the tank. Now, I know it's probably not crucial, but there was a little bit of sediment and stuff down in the bottom of the tank still. And I'd just like to try to get as much of that out of there as possible. So I think the best way for me to do that is to actually pump a little bit of diesel into the tank, kind of slosh it around, and drain out any remaining sediment that is still in there. So I'm not going to pump a lot in. I'm just going to kind of shoot it around. Just to get enough in there to kind of coat the bottom. Honestly, I think that's enough. We can always use more, you know. Can't put it back though. Now, with it up in the air above the 5-gallon bucket, hopefully we can get out the rest of this sludge. It's not even really sludge. You'll see when it comes out. All right, just want to try to catch it all. Here we go. Just discolored, and I know I'm probably being a little anal or OCD about it, but I figure this is the time to do this, not in the middle of the winter or not 2 years from now. You know, everything's brand new. Let's get this tank as clean as possible. And all the diesel that was always in this, by the way, from the previous owner, was on-road diesel. All right, well, I just found this great pallet that I forgot I had, but it's made out of, you know, solid 2x4s, nice 3/4 inch piece of plywood on top. I forget what came on this, but it fits this fuel tank pretty well for just moving around, you know, the area. My hope is with a tank this big, I won't really have to move it all that much at all, because 275 gallons worth of fuel should get me through, you know, a good portion of the year. I generally would fill up this 40-gallon tank maybe 5 or 6 times, and then you figure you take the tractor out or the excavator out on a couple jobs, you fill it up, you know, in the morning at the gas station when you're filling up the truck. So I think this should do the trick for a while, and at least this will keep it up off the ground and, you know, kind of out of the dirt and mud and stuff. Well guys, the fuel tank is done. I took the liberty of adding the last couple final finishing touches to it last night off camera. I had my son with me, so we were just trying to get it done, but boy did it come out good. I think the first obvious thing you'll notice is I was able to stamp on a little Dude Ranch DIY stencil here to kind of make it my own. But in addition to that, went ahead, added a new filler neck and quick remove cap here. So that is all set. Now we are locked in. If I can get the cap back on. Put on some lettering just to, denote that it is diesel fuel only. We got the battery box all figured out. I got these awesome high-powered magnets, as you can see on the bottom here. And I only put 2 of them on because, believe it or not, these magnets are so strong that every type of way that I was like mounting them was actually ripping the magnets out of like what it was fastened to. So I ended up having to use bolts and like machine screws to be able to bolt those magnets down to the bottom of the battery box, and 2 is plenty. I mean, this thing isn't really going to be moving around all that much, but that battery box isn't going anywhere, and it's nice because if I do have to move it, I left myself some room, to move it around. But I think for the majority of the time, it's going to be sitting right there. I use the same types of magnets on the solar battery charger here. You can see again, just 2 of them. You'll also see that the lights on the back of this are lit up, signifying that it is, in fact, charging that battery. One of the other things I'm not sure if I covered, but I did all the electrical connections here, and I was waiting for a new 25 amp fuse to come in the mail because none of the 25 ampers that I had were the right size. So now we have an appropriate fuse in there. And the very last thing that I'm waiting for, as you can see, I tried to use some spray foam to seal up this little hole because I did have some mice going into this box last year, and they made a whole nest in this empty void where next to the battery. So to avoid that, I tried the spray foam, clearly did not work that well, so I got a rubber grommet set that's coming, and I'm hoping that I should have the appropriately sized rubber grommet to just fill up that little gap there, where the wire comes through the battery box. What else do we do? Oh, well, we got the whole tank filled. The whole tank got filled up this morning. They came, and as you can see here, they put in 200 gallons, amounting to $530 even at a price of $2.65 per gallon. Now, one thing I wanted to mention, and one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this, totally apart and aside from the convenience of having fuel here on the property, because I already had fuel on the property. I was using, that 40-gallon transfer tank, which was great. It started me out. It got me to where I am today. But the fact that I had to pick that up and put it in my truck and go to the gas station and fill it up and pay the on-road fuel tax for diesel that I was using in off-road equipment, to me, it was just like I was burning money. And when I got this tank offered to me, I was like, wow, this is going to be a potential pretty big money saver because of the amount of fuel I go through with the various pieces of off-road diesel equipment that I have, which is 3 pieces of off-road, equipment. I go through a decent amount of fuel. So 200 gallons should last me the better part of a year. And I'm saving about 80 cents to $1 per gallon by getting it delivered here to my house, and I don't even have to go anywhere. So I'm gonna go grab the tractor, which I think is about on a quarter tank, and we're gonna fill that puppy up. Okay, so one last thing I wanna do before we go ahead and fill up the tractor for the first time is I want to add a bottle of this diesel fuel, diesel clean or whatever you wanna call it. It's just kind of like a diesel fuel additive. 1 gallon of this treats up to 250 gallons of diesel fuel. Okay, let's try out this Briero 50-foot diesel hose reel and 20 gallon per minute pump to fill up the old tractor here. Okay, now I'm assuming that this pump is going to self-prime itself. I'm not positive on that, but that's the way that my other transfer tank pump worked. So I'm hoping that it's the same. I'm guessing that it's gonna take a couple seconds for it to prime the system and, you know, obviously fill up this 50-foot long hose. But just for the sake of it, we're gonna flip this switch and we should hear the pump turn on. There we go. Sounds like it was kind of priming itself, and now it kind of sounds normal. So let's see what we got here. Getting all that air out. There we go. I see fuel, and it's red. So that is good. Now I hope you guys can see that. Going real slow to just kind of show you. But now we're gonna put it in, and I'm gonna click this, just like at the gas station, and it should click off when it's full. Shouldn't take very long, being a 20 gallon per minute pump. This is not a 20 gallon tank. I think it's about 11 gallons. Oh, I took it out at the wrong time, but it did click off. Okay, now we'll come back here, shut off the pump. Reel our hose back in. And that's it. Just like you're at the gas station. All right, guys, so I think that's gonna about wrap this video up here on this fuel tank build. I really think this is a great option if you have enough equipment to justify needing this amount of fuel and you find yourself going to the gas station often to fill up smaller transfer tanks or the dreaded 5 gallon jugs. Look into this, because you can get these used oil tanks for relatively cheap, if not free. And as you saw in this video, with a little bit of work, you could fix it up, add on some nice new pumps, reels, filters, kind of make it your own and have a really good way to fuel your equipment and save yourself money at the same time. So definitely go check out Briero. I will put a link to both of these products down in the description, as well as a pinned comment. Briero was nice enough to send me these to sponsor this video. They're also nice enough to provide me with a 15% off coupon code for you guys if you're interested in something like this. That coupon code will be down in the description, pinned comment, and on the screen right here. It is Dude Ranch DIY 15 for 15% off any Briero products. And they make more than just pumps and reels. If you need the whole tank setup or accessories, they sell whole tanks. They can get you covered for any of your fueling needs. Any questions, comments, feedback on what I did here today, put it down in that comment section. I'd love to hear what you guys think or how I could potentially improve this setup. I do want to come up with some sort of cover to keep all of this out of the elements for the time being. So if you have a good suggestion for a cover or a way to, you know, keep all of the important stuff out of the elements, drop a comment down below. But for now, I'm Jake. This is Dude Ranch DIY. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys here next time. New fuel system. Sure is nice. Here's my old guy. I'll probably go in the truck at some point.